our Scandinavian road trip, obviously we're gonna be on the road, or it's no road trip, and we're gonna be in our van. Hence, we do want to wild camp, and luckily, all Scandinavia have a sort of a wild camping act. Like all the countries is like Norway, Sweden, and Finland,
and Iceland, I think.
And Iceland have this joint act sort of umbrella with a few variations that allow people to freely camp, and it is called.
It's called. Please correct me if I'm saying this wrong. Allemansrätten. All man's right to roam.
Yeah.
That's what it.
The freedom to roam. Okay, wild camping, freedom camping. New Zealand has freedom camping, etc., etc. So here's what we found out about wild camping in Scandinavia.
Before we get into our brief synopsis of what this act entails, I did manage to find, I believe it is a link to the specific act. There is a link down below to this specific act. It's on a Norwegian website, but it is in English, don't worry. So you can go and read it to your heart's content. I think it's like 300 pages, so go ahead and read it.
Or you can watch this video and we'll summarize it for you.
So pretty much what the act entails is that you are able to freedom camp, which basically means camp just as you are without the landowner's permission for up to 2 days. If you're camping for longer than 2 days, then you will need to get the landowner's permission.
And it needs to be written permission. The landowner can be a person like yourself, an individual, or it can be the council as well.
And the council sometimes have these special letters that they give out, but they will not issue one for more like they won't issue one for more than 7 days because they don't want people squatting in areas. And also, if you freedom camp in someone's private land and they give you access for like 2 or 3 months, then the government's not going to be very happy, because where are you going to go to the toilet for 3 months and things like that? Where are you going to put your waste, your litter, other things? They don't want you to damage the ground, so they are very specific. That's why the councils don't issue out for more than 7 days.
Yeah, because the land needs to be able to recover from our roaming.
Basically, you need to leave no trace that you were there. If after you've moved, there's a pretty damn obvious sign that you've been there, you're doing it wrong. Now, you are allowed to pretty much camp nearly anywhere that you want to, but there are a few rules you have to follow. You have to be more than 150 meters away from like a house or a cabin, or if you're sleeping in a tent, 150 meters away from the nearest tent, unless you're in a campground, of course. And if you are doing it in a vehicle, again, 150 meters away from the nearest camping vehicle, unless you're in a campground. Also, you're not allowed to camp in areas, for example, like swamps. You're not allowed to camp in farmland. And also, if it's pretty obviously someone's garden, you know, like they've got a hedge wall around it, even if you are 150 meters away, don't go and camp in someone's garden. That's very rude to do so.
That's just not wise.
The point of it is you're meant to be out of sight. No one's meant to know that you're there, and since you leave no trace, no one is meant to know that you were ever there. That's the whole point of this act.
And actually, well, you're not supposed to leave a trace, because then what the wildlife may. Basically, you leave plastic around, they can choke you. You leave food, food peelings.
It can be poisonous to other
They can
animals.
be poisonous to other creatures.
It doesn't matter if it's an apple core and an orange peel or banana skin. Even though these things are technically biodegradable, don't leave them out, because, you know, wildlife, I believe it is reindeers that are, you know, orange skins, because they look like carrots. Even if they are buried underground, they're more likely to dig them up. But orange peel is very dangerous to reindeers, for example, because reindeers are not meant to eat orange peel. Oranges don't grow there.
Yeah. So remember, animals do lack certain mental capacity, such as that's a poison. You can both wild camp if you can pitch a tent, you can do it in your car, and you can do it in your camper van. However, if you're in any sort of vehicle, you cannot go off-road. Even if it's a 4x4 and you can technically go off-road, you are not allowed to do so. It needs to be accessible to vehicles.
Yeah,
so.
Vehicle accessible, like a roadside lay-by, a specific campsite, you know, obviously, and also like parking bays and such. As long as there's no specific, you know, signs up saying that you're not allowed to do it, then you can. If there are signs up, go somewhere else.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Also, don't just pull over on the side of the road where there are no lay-bys and sleep there as well, especially on main highways and such. That is not allowed.
If the speed limit is over 60
if the speed limit's over 60 in Norway, it's illegal for you to stop over on the side of the road anyway. but you probably shouldn't do it on any main highways and such throughout the region.
Yeah.
You know, in towns and cities where the speed limit is lower and people park on the side of the road as per normal, then, you know, it doesn't explicitly say that you can't do it, but again, respect the rules, don't leave waste, so in
terms of residential areas, correct us if we're wrong, as long as you are self-contained and you don't bother anybody and you basically just in your box, then you just park there for a few hours sleep and then move on. We think that is probably acceptable. And also, don't park like right next to somebody's house.
So I know we've highlighted this, but we need to emphasize it even more. You must leave no trace that you were there. That includes if you have created a fire, there must be no trace that there was ever a fire there. That means no waste. That means, you know, that if you've disrupted something, you have to put it back to how it was. You can't damage anything.
If you need to go to the toilet outside for number 1 or number 2,
you have to dig a hole.
You have to dig a hole.
So, do your business in the hole and cover it up with, you know, dirt and leaves and twigs and such.
Yeah, and you must. That means that you must have some sort of small spade or something like that with you. And they do have a rule about the tissues that you use. What do they say?
So if you have, one sec, let me find it. It says, dig a hole for your number 1s and 2s and cover them along with the corresponding paperwork.
I didn't get that at first. Like, am I gonna put my essay in there or something?
But what it means is, you know, if you wipe your butt, you need to put that tissue in the hole. But, not a joke, you have to use biodegradable toilet paper. Not just regular bleached white toilet paper. It has to be specific biodegradable toilet paper.
It might be like camping paper.
Yeah,
we haven't found that yet, but
camping, caravanning toilet paper. They sell them in those sort of shops, but it has to be those. Otherwise, you wipe your butt and you put it in a plastic bag and you take that waste with you and dispose of it elsewhere. Also, you have to do your business at least 50 meters away from the nearest water source for obvious reasons.
So you don't contaminate the water.
If you are going to light a fire, make sure you bury the remains of that fire in a hole and cover it up. So again, there is no evidence that there was ever a fire there. That's the whole point of the act. Don't put live embers in a hole and cover it up. Make sure you put out the fire first.
Yeah, because fire can spread
throughout the ground.
Yeah, throughout the ground, because especially if the ground's dry, there's cracks, there's leaves falling there. It can basically spread a lot. Also, you cannot scar rocks as well. So
no rocks, no trees, and not even the ground that you do it on. Yeah. So make sure.
That's why you need to do a hole.
The fire thing is a little bit of a grey area when it comes to it, because you are allowed to light fires. However, unless there are specific rules, for example, in specific areas they say no campfires here, or if it's really hot in the summer, you know, and everything's dry, they won't allow you to light fires. They put like a ban on the country or the region or whatever, so keep an eye out on that if it is pretty hot where you are. You're also not allowed to light fires in densely wooded areas, or also if there are signs prohibiting you from doing so as well. The best place that we found, like when researching it, in order to light fires is on the beach.
Yeah.
Because you also have to light fires within 100 meters of a water source.
Yeah.
Because, well, again, pretty obvious reasons.
If
there is an absolute emergency, you have at least a water source that you can try and put it out with. With the beach, there are no trees, and you're on sand, which doesn't burn very easily.
Well, there's only driftwood for you to use, so that's...
Yes? What is it? Are you hungry?
Hey? Oh, show your whiskers then. Bit more. There we are, since you're going to be interrupting. Although you can light a fire on the beach, you cannot camp on the beach. From safety concerns such as the tide or things like that. I'm sorry if you're hearing the purring, she's really close to the microphone.
Also, in terms of what kind of fuel you use for a fire, you're not allowed to use any live material, so you can't just go pull breaking branches off trees. You can't use trees that they have chopped down purposefully, because either A, they're waiting for them to dry out so they can transport them somewhere else, or B, they cut down the trees and then they just leave it for the wildlife to take over, because it's a great place for things like termites, ants, and also fungus, so you can't burn those either. The only things that you can burn are either wood that you specifically bought, which, I don't know, it seems a bit counterproductive to me, or dead twigs that are on the ground.
Yeah, or leaves, I think, dry leaves and stuff.
Anything that is dead that is on the ground, you can use. And finally, any specific rules, signs, laws, bylaws, whatever that prohibit either camping or lighting fires or anything like that, follow them. Because you don't know the reason. There could be rare species in that area. There could be a reindeer herd in that area that they don't want you interacting with. Anything at all. Otherwise, it's going to end up, if more people start abusing the rules or bending them a little bit or kind of getting around them, then they are going to put more restrictions, exactly like what's happening in New Zealand right now with freedom camping there. There are so many, laws and bylaws and new things being added to the Freedom Camping Act that's making it more difficult to freely go out and do it, and more people are putting up signs. So just follow the rules so that for everyone who comes after you, they can still enjoy what you're enjoying.
Freedom comes with responsibilities, and here is a good decision-making process. Whatever you're about to do in the wild, think if everybody else did that, is it gonna affect the environment? Is it gonna have a negative effect?
Like going to the toilet, you can do it in the wild, but they say only as a last resort. Only if you absolutely have to. If you're in a self-contained, do it there. If you're not in a self-contained or in a tent or something, then try and go before. And if you absolutely have to go in the wild, then do the right procedure. But otherwise, try not to do it. If everyone just went in the toilet in the wild, even digging holes, there would be a detrimental effect, which is why it's only in an emergency. So follow that rule of law. If everyone did what you're doing, would there be a detrimental cause and effect of what you are?
What would be the effect? Just think about it. If you want the freedom to freedom camp, know that freedom also means that you just have to know stuff and you have to pay attention. You can't be just lazy. It's gonna turn into a rant if we carry on. So. Oh, well, see if you're gonna interrupt us. Okay, there you go. There you go.
No, she doesn't like it.
Okay, she doesn't like being picked up at all. Yeah.
Doof.
Okay, let us say bye.
And then we'll go and feed you.
Yeah, can you move? Because you're putting a huge shadow on my face. So let us know down in the comments below whether we missed anything. Were we wrong about any of these rules? Did we interpret them wrong? Did we do it right? Please tell us, because we haven't tried this in Scandinavia yet.
And we are going to do a video more specific on it as we're going around.
Yeah, in our vlogs and stuff, you're going to see what we do and how we do it. So let us know down in the comments below what you think. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it.
And don't forget to subscribe to obviously see us trying these things out and actually doing it in Scandinavia for ourselves.
Life.
Hell yeah. See you there.
Bye. You want to eat?